Okay. So for our second topic, we move from the evolution of operating system to their internal architecture. So our presenter is Mowariel C. Aberin, who will discuss operating system architecture, monolithic, microkernel, hybrid, and modular architectures. When we talk about operating system architecture, we are essentially asking how is an operating system internally organized. No, different architectural approaches have different advantages and limitations. No, in terms of performance, security, reliability, flexibility, and maintainability. As we listen, try to compare the architectures rather than simply memorizing their definition. Try to ask yourself, why would an operating system designer choose a monolithic architecture instead of a microkernel or a hybrid approach instead of either one? Miss Muriel, you may now take over and discuss your assigned topic. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you po, Sir Melo. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sir Melo again. So, I'm Mariel C. Aberin. I'm going to discuss about the operating system architecture for monolithic, microkernel, hybrid, and modular architectures. So, for learning objectives here, first is to define the operating system architectures and explain its role in managing computer hardware and software resources. The second is to differentiate among monolithic, microkernel, hybrid, and modular kernel architectures. Third is to explain the structure, characteristics, advantages, and disadvantages of each operating system architecture. The fourth one is to identify how operating systems that utilize monolithic, microkernel, hybrid, and modular architectures. And lastly, is to discuss the relationship between kernel architecture and system performance, security, reliability, and scalability. So, in today's digital world, computer and smart devices perform millions of operations every second. These operations require coordination between hardware components such as the processor, memory, storage devices, and software applications. So, the operating system or the OS serves as the central manager that controls and coordinates these resources to perform its functions effectively. The operating system follows a specific structural design known as operating system architecture. So for our introduction to operating system architecture, modern computer systems consist of complex hardware and software components that must work together seamlessly. Without an operating system, users would need to communicate directly with hardware devices, making computing extremely difficult and inefficient. So the operating system provides a structured environment that enables users to run applications, store and retrieve data, access networks, and utilize hardware resources efficiently. So to accomplish this task, the operating system is organized into different layers and components collectively known as its architecture. So, what is an operating system architecture? The operating system or the OS architecture refers to the structural design and organization of an operating system, including how its components interact with each other and with the computer hardware. It serves as the blueprint that determines how the operating system manages resources, processes data, communicates with hardware devices, and provides services to application programs and users. In simple terms, the operating system architecture defines how an operating system is built and how it functions internally to ensure that computer systems operate efficiently, securely, and reliably. So an operating system acts as an intermediary between users, application software, and computer hardware. Through its architecture, It coordinates system activities such as process management, memory allocation, file management, device control, security enforcement, and network communication. So for further meaning of the operating system architecture, here's the diagram for operating system architecture, the general layered view. So it serves as the blueprint, as I said earlier, that determines how system resources are managed, how processes are executed, how memory is allocated, how devices communicate with the computer, and how security is enforced. A well-designed operating system architecture ensures that computer systems operated efficiently, reliability, and securely. So the diagram illustrates the general layered architecture of an operating system. It shows how users interact with applications programs, how those programs communicate with the operating system, and how the operating system manages hardware resources. So each layer has a specific function and communicates with the layers directly above and below it. So the operating systems act as a bridge used for between the users or the application and computer hardware, rather than allowing the applications to access hardware directly. So the operating system provides a structured way for software and hardware to communicate. So the layers shown in the diagram are: the first layer is the applications or the user programs. This is the topmost layer where users interact with computer through software applications such as web browser, word processor, games, compilers, media players, and database application. The second layer is the system call interface. Serves as the communication bridge between user applications and the operating system kernel. It consists of APIs, or the in application programming interfaces, and system calls that allow programs to request operating system services. So the function of system call interface is the application use system calls to open files, create processes, access memory, communicate over networks, and read keyboard input. So for example, here is, suppose a web browser needs to open a web page. So the browser uses system calls to request network access, send data over the internet, and receive web page information. So the next layer is the operating system kernel. So the kernel is the core component of the operating system. It manages all critical system operations and controls the interaction between software and hardware. The kernel operates its kernel mode or the supervisor mode, which gives its full access to hardware resources. So the major functions of the kernel, first process management process management, which responsible for creating processes, scheduling CPU usage, and terminating processes. For example, here, if you are using a Microsoft Word or a Google Chrome simultaneously, the kernel determines which program gets CPU time and when. So the second is the memory management, which is responsible naman in creating files, organize directories, reading and writing files, and managing storage devices. So for example, here is we are saving a PowerPoint presentation involves a file system management services. Sorry. For example, here for memory management is when opening multiple browser tabs, memory management allocates memory to each tab. Okay. So for file system management is the responsible in creating files, reading and writing files. So for example, here is when we are saving a PowerPoint presentation involves file system management services. The next is the input and output device management, which is responsible for controlling keyboards, mouse, printers, monitor, and USB devices. So when a user clicks the mouse, the kernel processes the input and sends the appropriate response to the application. Okay, so next is security and protection. So this is responsible for user authentication, access control file, permission, and data protection. Windows prevent unauthorized users from accessing protected systems. Next is networking, which is responsible for internet connection. So network protocols, data transmission, and network security. For example, is we're sending an email. So this is required a networking services managed by the kernel. Next is the inter-process communication or the IPC is responsible for allowing processes to communicate and share information. For example, is a web browser and antivirus software may exchange information through IPC mechanisms. So, last for operating system kernel is the resource allocation. So, responsible naman po for distributing CPU time, memory storage, and network bandwidth among multiple applications. So, for example, here is the operating system ensures that one application does not monopolize all system resources. So the second to the last layer is the hardware abstraction layer or the HAL. So it acts as an intermediary between the operating system, kernel, and the physical hardware. It provides a standardized interface so that the operating system can work with different hardware configurations. So, hardware abstract layer is important. Why? Because every hardware requires operating system code, and operating systems would need extensive modifications for different hardware. So, for our example here is a printer from HP and a printer from Epson works differently internally. Okay? So the last layer is the hardware. So this is the physical layer consisting of all computer components such as CPU, main memory, storage devices, hard disk drives, which store files permanently. So the input and output devices, the network interfaces for Wi-Fi adapters and Ethernet cards. So as computer technology has evolved, different operating system architectures have been developed to address various performance, security, reliability, and scalability requirements. Common architectures include the monolithic, microkernel, hybrid, and modular operating systems, each offering unique advantages and trade-offs. Understanding these architectures is essential for for students, programmers, system administrators, and IT professionals because they influence how computer systems perform and respond to users' needs. So for the functions of operating system, I will not be discussed because it was already discussed by Mr. Aban earlier. So let's go to the types of operating system architecture. The first is the monolithic operating system. So the entire operating system works in kernel space and operates in supervisor mode. A single large program handles all operating system services such as memory management, process scheduling, and device management. And it fast execution since all services communicate directly without requiring inter-process communication. So it also has a strictly defined hierarchical layered approach with each layer performing specific tasks and difficult to debug, update, and maintain due to the tightly integrated structure. So for our example, here is the MS-DOS, Unix, Linux, old versions. Okay, so we have here the advantages and disadvantages for monolithic operating system. So the advantages is the high performance due to direct function calls and simple and efficient for small scale systems. So the disadvantages are hard to modify, to extend. A crash in one component may crash the entire operating system. So the second operating system architecture is the microkernel operating system. The microkernel is broken into, this kernel is broken into smaller independent process known as servers. So some servers run in kernel space while others operate in user space. Only essential functions like process management and inter-process communication, or the IPC, reside in the kernel. All other functions like file system, device drivers, and networking run in user space. It also improves security and reliability since failure in one module does not crash the entire operating system. So for our example here is the QNX, Minix, Mac OS, partially. So for advantages for microkernel is the greater security and stability since only essentials functions are in the kernel. Easier debugging and maintenance. Fault isolation or failure in one server does not crash the operating system. So for our disadvantages is slower compared to monolithic operating system due to message passing overhead and complex inter-process communication and the IPC management. So the third operating system architecture is the hybrid operating system. It combines elements of both monolithic and microkernel architectures. The performance of monolithic operating system while retaining modularization between benefits of microkernels. So some critical services, for example, is the memory management and process scheduling run in kernel space, while other services like file systems, device drivers operate in user space. So for our example is the Windows NT, XP, 10, 11, Mac OS, and BEOS. The advantages is to balance performance and modularity, more stable than monolithic operating system with better performance than pure microkernels, and easier to update compared to monolithic operating system. So for disadvantages, more complex design and implementation, some IPC overhead still exists. So the fourth operating system architecture is the modular operating system. It implemented as separate components or modules with well-defined interfaces. So modules are loaded into kernel space when needed, dynamically loadable, more flexible than the layered approach as it does not strictly define hierarchical layers, easy to maintain, update, and debug since each module can be managed separately. Efficient as modules communicate directly via interfaces without additional layers. So for advantages, easier maintenance and updates, more efficient than a purely layered approach, flexibility in adding or removing functionalities. The disadvantages is still dependent on kernel space operations, some complexity in module interactions. So for comparison of operating system architecture, it depends on the feature for structure, flexibility, performance, reliability, and maintainability. So for monolithic operating system, the structure here is the single large kernel, while the flexibility is low. The performance is high, reliability is low because one crash affects the entire operating system. Okay po. So the maintainability is difficult. For modular operating system, the structure here is separate modules. The flexibility is high. Performance is high. Reliability, medium. Maintainability is easier than monolithic operating system. For microkernel operating system, the structure is kernel with small core and servers. Flexibility is very high compared to modular operating system. The performance is low due to IPC overhead. Reliability is high because of fault isolation, and the maintainability is easier as well as the modular operating system. Lastly is the hybrid operating system. So the structure combination of monolithic and microkernel. Flexibility, medium. Performance, medium to high. Reliability is high. Maintainability is moderate. So for our key learning points, the operating system architecture determines how the operating system manages hardware and software resources. The second is the operating system architecture acts as an intermediary between users, applications, and hardware. The functions of an operating system is the process management, memory management, file, system management, device management, and user interface. So, for key learning points for monolithic operating systems, use only single large kernel for all services, while the microkernel operating system has file systems, networking, and device drivers run in user space. So, for hybrid operating system, is a combination of monolithic and microkernel features. For modular operating systems, consists of separate modules with defined interfaces. Different architectures have different features. So for the IT industry, it helps in selecting and managing appropriate operating systems and improve troubleshooting and system administration skills. And understanding these architectures enables better decision in the system design, software development, IT management, and cybersecurity. So that's all. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sir Mello.
Okay, so done ka na ma'am, no?
Apa, sir?
Okay, so thank you, madam. No, the key point here is that there is no single perfect operating system architecture. Ano po? A monolithic architecture can provide excellent performance because many services operate within the kernel space, while a microkernel approach emphasizes modularity and isolation. Hybrid architectures attempt to combine desirable characteristics from different approaches, while modular designs allow components to be added or removed more flexibly. The important lesson is to understand the trade-offs among performance, reliability, security, flexibility, and complexity. When evaluating an operating system architectures, Allah always asks not only how it works, but also why it was designed that way. Okay? So, thank you so much and congratulations to our presenter.